So these elites that were identified in these Epstein files and P. Diddy files too. So we probably should add the Diddy files as well. These are Hollywood, corporate government officials, elites, if you want to call them, that are more than likely on these files. There are both U.S. citizens on there, and there's probably some international players, right? And so the status of the 300 missing, these are not apples and oranges. The 300,000 missing are a number that we know from whistleblowers in the government. And these are children that were brought into this country, and then the government was given, control of them. And then the government turned them over and essentially is in the business of trafficking them.
Trump has talked about the 325,000 kids so far in the Senate report a few months ago that were brought in that Kamala didn't lose. They got rid of them on purpose. We've had the whistleblowers on that testified to Congress in the studio where they were being given 3-month-old babies on planes with no diapers or formula, and then just giving them to people, in some cases with no paperwork, found in slave labor, found in sex slavery. Not just say, we're going to stop that. He needs to go after the NGOs. He needs to go after Mayorkas. He needs to go after Harris, and then say to the public, we're going to have a federal task force to find the missing children, which is the right thing to do. But then he uses that as the political support of the larger deportations and has at the center of that. And then he has to then destroy the Democratic Party of the last 4 years that did this and ended the DNA testing to see if a kid was really with their family. I mean, this is the smoking gun, General Flynn, as you know. Yeah. And that's the way to first attack the Democratic Party. With that, bring down Mayorkas, criminal charges, after they go into this, get control of the Justice Department, fire all the U.S. attorneys, put his people in, and then directly, not target some little scandal here or there, go right into the human trafficking and the UN NGOs and these charities, instantly smoking gun info. We already have all the witnesses, and then that brings down the Democrats as the human smuggling pedophile party. That is my proposal. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so you're exactly right. So when we say the deportation campaign should have a series of phases and subtasks, right? And not to overcomplicate this thing, but this idea about going after what you just described, which is, I think it's 350 or 400,000 missing children, right? Quote unquote missing. They know what happened to them. They put them into slave labor. We're talking about 2, 3, 4-year-old children, babies, right up to teenagers, but babies that are out there being sex slaved. This is sickening. And so this has got to be like sort of a first priority within this campaign, because that's part of what we as Americans should do. If we want to say we maintain the moral high ground, we should immediately go after this. A component of all this is, of course, to go after these criminals that we know came in with the illegal invasion. The terrorists that we know that came in that are on the books right now of the FBI and the CIA and all these other agencies, and clearly under DHS. These people know this. When we have people inside the government right now, some of whom are whistleblowers who are ready to go to work for us, and there's others that I know that are in the government that have been crushed when they have risen their heads to talk about this kind of stuff.
As you said, go after the serious criminal gangs so the public sees it's the right thing to do and that Trump's protecting them. It legitimizes everything else he's doing. That's the right thing to do. Go after the criminal gangs, go after the terrorist, and that's the war right there that's real and unifying and right. People totally get behind him. Then the human trafficking at the same time, which goes right to the Democrats and the NGOs, and then that is the domino that's the right thing to do as well, that brings them all down.
And I think people need to understand that the NGOs, and there's a lot of churches, a lot of faith-based organizations that are involved in this kind of stuff. So this has got to be one of these, I don't use the word ruthless, but there's got to be a ruthlessness to the campaign that this undertakes, because some of these NGOs are directly involved, and we know exactly who they are. Some of these are faith-based organizations that hide behind that, and we know exactly who they are. And I will tell you, I keep a list right here. I'll show you this right here. Okay, this is my enemy terrain, and many of them that are part of that. And this is something that I have been focused on for a long, long time. You have a lot of different NGOs. and the Arabella advisors, right? Arabella advisors. I'm showing this on your show here because there is a scheme to the enemy terrain and to the enemy disposition on a battlefield. This is the disposition of our foes, right? And a lot of these, their ultimate goal is what I describe as global power and a weak America. On this map are a series of non-governmental organizations, a number of faith-based organizations that are directly involved in the illegal invasion that this country has been experiencing, even going back to Obama, clearly during the last 3.5 years under the Biden-Harris administration. And I'm telling you, these exist. We know where they are. We know exactly how they operate. And we need to go after every single one of these and dismantle this formation. We have to dismantle a lot of this. I mean, this is a George Soros construction, okay? A construction type of organization. And what they've done is they've created for-profit organizations, and then under them they have these non-profit organizations, and then they have these non-governmental organizations that tie directly into the U.S. government and get grants. I mean, to the tune of millions and millions of dollars of U.S. taxpayer money to be able to go and do these kinds of tasks that we're talking about right now.
Some of the NGOs get billions.
Yeah, they do, and some of them work directly for elements of the U.S. government, namely the Department of Homeland Security. Some of them work for or underneath USAID. So these are things that I know. These are things that there are others like me that I know we can depend on. That we can go in there and systematically and structurally, because this is not just about building a wall and closing the border. We have this all over the country right now, and a lot of these NGOs. They not only operate like at Eagles Pass, Texas, but they also operate in St. Louis, Missouri, or they operate in Chicago, Illinois, or they operate in Boston, Massachusetts. These NGOs are spread and sprinkled all over the map to be able to function as like sort of enemy forces, if you will, on the battlefield of America. And what they're doing is they're ripping us off and they're destroying the lives of, in many cases, children.